Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Takedown, a Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast focused on South Dakota State Wrestling. Once again, I'm joined by my co-hosts. Tonight it's just Alex, and we're also joined by our special guest, 125-pounder Tanner Jordon. Tonight we're going to talk to TJ about his season so far and a little bit more about who he is. Also like to shout out our sponsors. All year we've been sponsored by Kubota. They have 9 dealerships around the state of South Dakota to get you your needs for any yard tractor, any small equipment, or some heavy machinery too, honestly. I mean, I don't know if you've ever checked out their skid steers, Alex, but they're pretty awesome. They have, I think it's a 725. That thing's badass. Anyway, TJ, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too shabby.
Great,
Alex?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, 2 kids in the house now, right?
Yep, Charlie joined us Monday here, so got 2. Gonna have the first girl 6-time South Dakota State champ. Just kidding. I won't force my kids to wrestle. I hope they do, but they can do what they want. But I was just gonna say she's got a drilling partner now. So
TJ, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from St. Paris, is that correct?
Yep.
That's
St. Paris, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a pretty far away. It's about 14-hour trip home, so don't go home too often, but when I do, it's good. Good to be back, but it makes it easy to stay out here and train. So such a long drive makes it easy to, kind of dig in, set your feet, and really look forward to what's to come.
absolutely. Talk about that a little bit for those that maybe don't know. Talk about your high school background, maybe a little bit. 2-time state champ.
Single state champ. I only won one state champ my junior year.
One?
My senior year.
The notes say Division 2.
Yep.
Sorry.
You're good.
That's like A, double A, triple A, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we got three divisions in Ohio, and we're a middle school.
Go ahead, talk about your high school, your recruitment, all that sort of stuff. How'd you end up at SDSU?
Yeah, my brother was 4 years older than me, or 3 years in school older than me, and he was here at SDSU under Reader and Bono. So I kind of had the notion, not necessarily to go here, but I was, it's always nice to go somewhere that you know somebody. And I mean, for everyone that doesn't know, my last name's Jordon, and I'm related to Micah, Bo, Jordon. So I had people at Ohio State. So it was kind of pulling me either to stay close to home or go 1,000 miles away with my brother. So it was a little bit of a tough decision, but in the end of it, I think I made the right decision. I love it here at South Dakota State. So the long or short sweet of it.
Well, we're all for long answers here, so don't be afraid to be long-winded.
Yeah,
but
people want to hear you, not us.
yeah, they didn't come to listen to some schmuck with a beard. But you wrestle 125, and we kind of were starting down this path before we got on here. Tell us a little bit about how it is to maintain that, and maybe what your process is or your routine. Whoever's in the back, howdy. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, Tanner's coming live from the team room in the new wrestling facilities. So
we got guys walking in right now. I just told them,
that's cool. We appreciate your time. We know you guys are busy.
No, it's good to make 125. I shouldn't say good. It's a I don't even want to call it a struggle, but I mean, your body gets used to it. Once the first cut's obviously the worst. You gotta lose the weight that you put on over the summer, and hopefully you're losing more fat than muscle. So that's always a kind of a fine balance. Is you got to figure out how much you can work out and get fat off instead of just burning all your muscle off. And then so I don't do the best job with weight management over the summer. I think last summer I saw the 155 mark on the scale. So it's not the best for me. Like I said, I get a little chunky, but you like I said, me and Cody were talking about it the other day, and because we were kind of making fun of like how thin I get during wrestling season, right? And he's like, dude, I don't. If you stayed under 135 pounds all summer, you would drive yourself nuts. I was like, yeah, I never really thought of it that way. He's like, you just overwork yourself all the time. I was like, whatever, But there's obviously two edges to that sword, because then you gotta put in
grind harder
the day. The first time you're trying to get down to 125, and our coaches do a very good job of easing us into our weight management plan. So like right before the first competition of the year, 3 weeks out, we have to make plus 5% of our scratch weight. 2 weeks out, we have to make plus 3% of our scratch weight, and then the week before we compete, it's plus 1% of our scratch weight. So it makes it nice to kind of ease your way into it, and incentivizes a lot of guys to really get their weight down. Me being one of those guys, and so that's always nice. Other than that, it's just pretty simple. I mean, from my perspective, I try not to overthink it. It's work out a lot and don't eat a lot. So
just that simple, huh?
Yeah.
Calories in, calories out, huh?
Yep.
On that note, so we had Cam on earlier this year, and I kind of asked to be a proxy. I said, why is Coach Hano always like start at 125? And he said, TJ always gets us going. He's always got good energy. He gets off the scale and he's kind of ready to go compared to maybe some other 125 pounders in the country. So obviously talked about, it's not an easy job to get down there. I mean, you think about it,
Yeah.
I don't care how short you are, any grown man is tough to make 125 pounds. So you're fresh off the scale. Number says 125.0 probably. What are you doing to get your energy back up, just for maybe some high school kids that are listening to what's your recovery look like? So an hour that whistle blows, you're ready to go. You don't got dead legs, you don't got dead arms, you're ready to hammer them.
This year I changed it up a little bit because we got that 2 hour weigh-in. So
that's right. Yep.
That is it's helpful because now I feel like I get my warm up in after I work or after I make weight. So, you cut the last little few pounds or few ounces right there 30 minutes before you weigh in, and then you get your food and energy in you, and then I can get my warm up in, which is, I think, really been beneficial to me, because we all know after you make weight, or after you eat, after you make weight, you kind of feel swollen. It's hard to breathe, sometimes you put a little too much in, but me and Derek Cardinal do a pretty good job of, after we make weight, we normally wait until about 45 minutes after we make weight, and then we go down and start getting our warm up in. And normally our warm up consists of, drilling for 15 minutes and then getting a real hard. We do 15 shots or movements the first, and we do them 5 sets of 3. We do like 3 hard shots, 3 hard snap downs, 3 hard your partner shoots leg defense, and then 3 hard reattacks and 3 hard mat returns. And then we jump up and we run 3 sprints as hard as we can to really try to get our lungs back under us after making weight. But that's kind of what we do for warm up. In terms of getting my energy back after weigh-ins, I normally step off the scale and drink a body armor and a vitamin water. And then I actually like to get just a little bit of caffeine in me, whether it's a coffee or tea or something that'll keep me awake, because I got to compete in 2 hours at this point. So I want to be focused and energized. And then I normally eat trail mix or almonds of some sort you know, and then I get made fun of it a lot, but I eat about 3 handfuls of Cheez-Its is my go-to. And it's just 3 or 4, how you feeling.
You let yourself go a little beyond 3.
Yeah. So, and I don't, it doesn't necessarily have to be Cheez-Its. It could be pretzels, goldfish, but
Just a little salt.
yeah,
Some
I like a
carbs
little
and
salt,
salt.
and then the fast carbs I feel like in them really just kind of give you some energy. And then obviously after weigh-ins, I'm putting in, like I said, a body armor, some caffeine, a vitamin water, a little bit of Powerade. I just try not to drink too much to where I feel bloated, but you can still put in 4 pounds of fluids, and you don't want just 4 pounds of fluid. Well, I don't want 4 pounds of fluid just sitting in my stomach. So I try to eat some Cheez-Its or pretzels, something to kind of soak it up a little bit, so it's not just sloshing around when I'm trying to go out there and wrestle.
On an average week, how much would you say your weight fluctuates typically? Do you plus 5?
I try not to get over plus 10.
Plus 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and some weeks that's a challenge. Other weeks it's not. So some Mondays you step on the scale and you're like, wow, 138. I was not expecting that.
What did I do to myself yesterday?
Yeah, like gosh, that really stuck to me a lot worse than I thought it did.
Yeah, that can be a challenge. Weight's a challenge for a lot of us. I can speak to that quite a bit, but not why we're here. This year you really, I mean, you've been a good wrestler for state for what? This is your 4th year out on the mat. Yep. And well, I was going to go somewhere else with that, but maybe answer this question. You would have took a red shirt your freshman year, yes?
That was that COVID year that didn't count towards anyone.
Right. So I was just going to ask, do you have 2 years remaining then, or 1?
I technically have 2 years remaining.
That's what I thought.
One of those is a red shirt. We were
right.
Me and Damien were talking about this the other day, and it's not that things didn't go how I wanted them to, or it just didn't pan out, that I wasn't necessarily going to redshirt my freshman year just because we didn't have another 25-pounder. Like that COVID year, me and Vega kind of flipped back and forth. He ended up going to Big 12s and ended up making a national appearance after that. And then the next year, we all kind of thought Vega was coming back. Because that COVID year didn't count. We were like, oh, he's going to be back. And I was going to plan on redshirting that year and just getting better that year, focusing on, what I need to do, everything. And then ended up he didn't come back. So I think he didn't want to, he was tired of school. So that's, we all get there.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah,
I did 3.5 years, and I couldn't have done a credit hour more.
Yeah,
lucky I got my degree in that amount of time.
Well, it's not a contest to see who's done the most, because I don't want to play that game.
So Han kind of not even brought me in. It was just when he didn't come back over that summer, it was just like, hey, you're basically our only guy at 125. I was like, okay, so I wrestled that year at 125, and then really didn't have a backup going into the year after that either. And that brought me to this year. We have, I don't want to say a plethora of 25-pounders, but I walked into our practice room on the first week of school, and we had 5, I think, this year, 5 25-pounders, just, which was great for me because that was more practice partners. It was the first time I've actually had someone under 135 pounds to be able to wrestle. So I was like, this is awesome. And, it was nice. We all went to, well, we didn't all go to, but we took, I think it was 2 25-pounders to the first weekend, which would be the Bison Open. We had Two other red shirts that didn't end up going to that. They weren't. I don't think they were just ready yet. They had some injuries coming out of it, so they just didn't want to jump in yet. And then we ended up having me and Meredith compete at 125 at the Bison Open, which was awesome, And then now we got Graf. He's back in our lineup after his surgery, I believe, last year. So it's nice that we're starting to get him back, circling back in. So.
And that was going to lead into my next one. We touched on it, my hair here. What was that like prior, where you didn't necessarily have guys your size to roll around with? Do you think you maybe picked up some stuff a normal 25-pounder wouldn't do?
Yeah. So it's as we talked about earlier, I came from St. Paris, Ohio, and for people that don't know, it's in my opinion, one of the best wrestling schools in the country. And I got my butt kicked every day in my high school room. Like I remember the first 2 years I was in high school, I was going in and I was happy to get one takedown.
Sure.
It was brutal in there, right? So I get to college and I don't want to say back to where I started, but I got no small guys, so I'm out there wrestling Clay Carlson every day, getting my butt kicked, right? And it's like, holy cow, and so it was nice because I definitely think I learned a lot from it. You learn a lot from adversity, in my opinion. You get mentally tougher, you get physically tougher, and it's an ongoing joke on the wrestling team that I can't hit a good shot to save my butt, and every shot I hit, I end up on my face, but my arms are all the way extended over my head, and I somehow end up getting the guy's leg back to where I want it because I pull it in from forever away.
And everyone, so many times in practice.
Yeah, and everyone's like, I don't know how TJ just does that all the time. And I was like, well, I had to do it to Clay for 3 years. Like, it was either I'm pulling that leg in or I'm getting my face ripped off. So you try to pick the lighter one.
Yeah, I know. Being a big guy, I didn't like having heavier guys land on me. I was on the smaller end of heavyweight, but so are any of the? We talked a little bit about having five-ish guys behind you. Are any of those guys pushing you harder these days? That's got to be a good thing to have those guys there?
It's definitely nice to have them in, and yeah, they definitely push me. So I'm sure you guys are aware if you've ever watched me wrestle. It's my worst, I would say, 2 minutes of wrestling is the first 2 minutes. So I give up a lot of takedowns in the first 2 minutes of wrestling. And I end up having to claw my way back. But we got guys now on the team now that he's been out and wrestling. Logan Graff, he's been a backup 33-pounder for us. He is a lightning bolt off the whistle. So having him in the practice room to really just try to take me down as many times as he can in the first minute, and all I do is try to defend for 2 minutes is amazing. It's really helped me out. So, and Derek Cardinal's the same way. He's real fast. He's good off the whistle. So having guys like that to really to push me in order to I just focus on the first couple minutes of the match to where I'm not blowing my head up and trying to go out there and score as many points as I can in the first minute, instead just relaxing a little bit and letting the guy tire himself out and scoring after that.
Do the coaches ever, just as a follow-up, do the coaches ever get on your case and point out that it might be easier to score earlier?
Oh yeah, every week.
Who is the coach that kind of pokes that button the most?
I would say all of them. Simez is a very sarcastic individual, as I'm sure you guys are aware. So
love that guy.
After I beat McKee earlier in the year, I walk off the mat and he's like, see how much easier it is when you don't. And for everyone that doesn't know, last time I wrestled McKee, I got dropped on my head in the 30 seconds of the match, right? He's like, see how much easier it is when you don't get taken down? I'm like, yeah. And then just this last week, I walk off the mat after beating Volk, and he's like, hey, look what happens when you don't get taken down right off the bat. And I just, like, Simez, thanks. Like, I appreciate it, but I also kind of want to punch you in the face right now.
So you kind of answered the question a little bit, but I still kind of want to ask it. What has been one of the things where just the last year or two, because I not to speak for Chad as well, but I'll speak for Chad as well. Personally, watching you, it really seems like you've taken a step up this year. You are wrestling fantastic. What are some of those things you've really worked on? Okay, if I work on this, I can get to the next level.
That I'm gonna circle kind of back around to what I just said. It's always been an issue of me defending my legs, right? So I would say me and Caldwell have worked on getting my legs back for I don't know how long now. For the last 3-4 years I've been here, right? It's just been trying to get my legs back, and I think some of that comes with confidence. You know, you kind of make big leaps and bounds when you get a little bit of confidence. You know, making it to the national tournament was, you kind of get to see it and realize, hey, you know, I want to be back here. I want to compete better at this thing. Like this is what I want to keep doing. So definitely confidence standpoint, and then just the coaches we've been working, you know, since I don't know, like I said, the last 4 years on getting my legs back, and they always kind of give me a little bit of crap and say my biggest attribute is my stubbornness. You know, go out there and just wrestle hard as long as I can, be stubborn about it. But they also tell me that's my biggest weakness, because there are some points, like I'm sure you guys saw me get hit in the slide by Poulin 3 times, where I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of this kid hitting me in a slide by. I'm going to collar time until he can't hit me in a slide by. And obviously that's not the best thing to do. And I think the coaches kind of picked up on that and started coaching a little bit different. Yeah. To where they were like, hey, you guys, you shouldn't beat your head against the wall as much. We want you to wrestle a little bit smarter, not as, you know, we love how hard you wrestle, but we want to turn you into a smarter and more strategic wrestler. And I think that's probably been the biggest jump I've made this year, is just trying to use, I want to say trying to use my head a little bit more in the match, instead of just going out there and just telling myself, go faster, go harder, you know, trying to wear a guy out. Instead, you know, you got to be a little bit more strategic and where you put your hands and feet. And so that's probably the biggest jump I've made.
Completely unrelated, but you brought up Steve-O. Should he bring back the Mohawk? Do you have any idea what I'm referring to?
Yes, I do. And I'm not sure.
That was the thing. I'm a little bit older than you. Like when I was in high school, it's like, oh, you see this like 8-year-old Stephen Poulin kid? It's Mohawk launching kids. And all of a sudden he turns up at UNC, and obviously he's pretty good. That was just kind of funny. So I just figured I'd get your take on if Steve-O should bring back the Mohawk.
I'm not sure.
So you're 17-5 this year, if my math's right. You're 20 on flow and like 18 on track wrestling, and I know you guys don't pay an over amount of attention to that, but we're talking about Steve-O here. He's one of the losses you've had, and I don't want to dwell on that too much, but is there any loss this season that maybe you'd like to avenge more than the others? Like maybe because you really thought you let that one slip away, or do you feel the same about them all?
So I obviously got majored by Steve-O. That didn't make me too happy. So I'd like to have another shot at that one. But I would say a match that I was actually really looking forward to was wrestling D'Agostino from Michigan again. I got beat by him at Cliff Keen, and I ran off the mat, and we always do a little cool down after we run off the mat. I ran off the mat, and Cody was standing right there with my shirt and shorts, and he was like, "How you feel after that one?" And the only thing that could come to my head was, "I know I can beat that kid." And Cody's like, "Yeah, we all do." So I grabbed my stuff, I went and I ran my sprint, came back. And Cody's like, "You're going to have another shot at him." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. We get a dual Michigan." And I was just chomping at the bit for that duel, right? And then he didn't even weigh in. So that one upset me quite a bit. I'd say that's probably the one that's got it right now.
Well, I mean, there's still a chance to wrestle that guy again, isn't there?
Yeah. I think there's still a chance to wrestle any of the 25-pounders this year. The way
Yeah,
25's looking, it's
25's got to be like the most open class because it's what are we calling it? The curse of 125, Alex? If you get number one in 125, that means you're going to lose.
Father Andrew Dickinson, fellow Jackrabbit wrestling fan, former priest at the Newman Center here. He, what'd he call it? The curse of Spencer Lee's mom's glasses.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But
yeah, it's
kind of make an actual question out of that's got to have you excited, right? You see that the playing field's super level. You have wrestled right there with all those guys. Like, podium, if not high end of the podium, is absolutely in reach, and you got to feel pretty stoked about that, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. There's like we all know, 125 is just wide open right now. They got number ones getting beat every other day. It's just a mess. And I've wrestled, I think, like, what'd you say? 5? I had 5 losses, right? Yeah, 3 at Vegas. And so I've been, I think my 5 losses have came to all top 20 guys. Yeah, top 15 guys.
Top 15. Yeah.
So I definitely have competed against them. And as I said earlier, I ran off the mat in multiple matches knowing that I could wrestle better and win matches. So I definitely feel excited is probably the best term, but still I'm really excited to get to the national tournament and wrestle.
So we talked a little bit about confidence earlier. We talked a little bit about you being in the national tournament. How do I ask this? What point did you know that you were going to make the national tournament last year, and what kind of confidence does that give you this year? I think so. It's kind of a two-parter.
So
knowing that you've been there, you know how to get there, you know what needs to be done.
But by like, when you say what point, do you mean like the time of day? Like,
well, I mean, not like, was there a point in the season last year where you knew that I'm going to make the national tournament regardless? I just got to go do the work, or are you one of those guys that just like, I don't pay attention to that? When the match that qualified me was over, that's when
So we didn't know if I was going to qualify or not.
Right.
So that was So I forget my record last year, but it was barely over 500. I think it might have been like 18-16, or like wasn't the greatest, right? I had a lot of losses last year that I shouldn't have lost, and I had some wins that were obviously enough to get me to the national tournament. One of those was I mean, there really at no point in the year was it like, yeah, that win just got me into the national tournament. I don't think I had a top 20 win last year, other than I had D'Agostino, believe it or not, forfeit to me at not forfeit, medical default.
Yep.
Cliff Keen. So there wasn't really that match that was like, yeah, that one put me in. So we were kind of, after I lost out at Big 12s, pretty disappointing, obviously. don't know if you're going to make it to the national tournament or not.
Waiting to see allocations.
Yeah, so we're all kind of, I don't want to say sitting around, but we're all waiting, right? And believe it or not, I was actually in the room I'm in right now. We have a ping pong table on it, and me and Caleb Gross, our backup 41-pounder, were playing ping pong. And Cody comes running in and rips the door open, and he's like, he's not even saying anything. He's just looking at me. I didn't know I didn't know the allocations just came in or anything. So I'm looking at Cody like, what?
What's
Like,
going
you
on?
want to play ping pong? Like, what's going on? And he's like, you made it. And I'm like, made what? Right? Like, he's like, you're going to the national tournament. And so that was a pretty cool moment with me and Cody. But I would say, yeah, there wasn't really a time that I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm going, like, this is the match that put me in the national tournament. So.
And that gives you more confidence probably going into this year. I mean, you maybe
yeah,
get a better matchup than last time.
Yeah. So last time I was the 32 seed at the national tournament, right? I was a pigtail going into it. 32 or 33, I don't even know. And if I would have won my first one, I ended up getting beat, but I would have had Spencer Lee right off the bat, right? And so there was obviously a little bit like, I'm the 32 seed in the national tournament. That kind of sucks, right? Like, second to last guy. But it was good. Like, it kind of took some of the weight off my shoulders, I would say. It's not as expected. So going into it, I didn't wrestle great my first round match. Ended up getting beat, and then won the wrestle back, and then got beat by, I think, Certain. Beat me out of the tournament. So it was kind of, I don't want to say that was a confidence booster, but it was you were there, so you know what to expect. And like I said, it kind of burnt a hole in me for a summer of like, you you can be back there. You got to get back there. Like, that was one of the most fun tournaments we had, right? So it was just kind of like, you got to get back there. So all summer I kind of had something to push myself towards and really focus on what was to come.
So you're saying fans should expect an All-American out of you this year?
I don't want to say expect anything, but I'm definitely pretty excited to wrestle at the national.
I mean, I think you got it in you, honestly. We believe in you. That's what I'm trying to say.
I like to think I'm a pretty tough individual.
I'm picking you for my pools, no pressure.
All right. And I think that it's gonna be a major part of being an All-American at the national tournament is just going out there and being tough and being able to wrestle, 3-4 matches in a day if I do get beat. So I'm pretty excited for it.
What do you guys do? Obviously, it's hot button topic a little bit in wrestling, college wrestling in general right now. But what mentally, we won't go down the other side of it necessarily because I could talk on that for 3 hours. If you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. But
I think I already know what you're talking about.
What do you do to prepare yourself mentally for kind of just you saying if you get beat, you got to get ready to bounce back. Obviously, right now this time of year is a lot of dual meets, so you get yourself up for one match, maybe scout a guy a little bit, go out there, let it hang out for 7 minutes. All right, I got at least 24 hours of rest. What do you do to get yourself ready for Big 12 or national tournament? Because we wrestle a lot of opens or, like you said, CK earlier in the year, but this back half of the year up to Big 12s is all dual meets. So how do you flip that switch? Excuse me.
It's kind of I feel like it's kind of a person, like it depends on the person of what you can do. And I personally like to I love to wrestle. It's my favorite workout, right? And if I'm going to choose what to do, I want to wrestle for 30 minutes and I want to go live for 30 minutes.
Sure.
So we still have those, and our practice has changed up a little bit now. They're starting to shorten up, because we don't want to get beat up going into this last half of the season. But Cody knows that I love to wrestle, and he knows that one of my favorite things to do is go long goes, which doesn't necessarily help me with my first period leg defense, as we talked about earlier. But I like to get tired, in practice, and it really, I think that helps me the most is going out there and wrestling for, 20, 30 minutes, because that simulates you going out and wrestling 2-3 matches in a day, right? Like,
yeah.
And I try to work out I don't want to say as much as I can, but I try to get 2 or 3 workouts in, two a day at minimum. Not only to help me with my weight, but kind of the same thing as, you get a workout in, you have a 3-hour break and go get another match per se in. So that's kind of what I mentally do to prepare for it.
I've never heard that approach. I really like that. That's pretty cool. And so you do like tournament wrestling then?
Yeah, I love tournaments.
Yeah, it sounds like that's your bag, actually. More wrestling in a day, the better.
Yeah, Cody used to make fun of it. So to backtrack a little bit, I graduated high school in 2019 and moved out here and didn't go to SDSU, but I was just on the JWC wrestling team.
Sure.
So I was just out here, and all the coaches would make fun of me because I was going to every open with the red shirts, right?
Yeah.
And it was like everyone, as many matches as I could get, I was trying to go. And finally, Cody pulled me off to the side. I banged up my knee. The trainer was telling me I couldn't wrestle, and Cody and Cam were like, "You can't go to Midlands." And that was the tournament I was looking forward to all year, right? I wanted to go to Midlands
Biggest
so bad.
open of the schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're like, "You can't go to Midlands." And I was like, "I'm going to Midlands." And they're like, "You can't." And I'm like, "Good thing it's an open tournament and I can just go," right? Yeah. They're like, "We're gonna be really upset with you if you go to Midlands." So I was like, "All right." So ended up not going, but it, like you said, I really like tournament wrestling and really just love to get matches in.
That's the opposite of me, man. It gets so long. That's the hard part. Maybe it's not the wrestling I don't like, it's the waiting to wrestle.
Yeah. Well, the hard part for me is getting down to 125. So when I'm there, I might as well wrestle as much as I can.
Yeah, but what about the next day?
We'll figure that out later.
If you wrestle enough, I suppose it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't know this, Tanner. But your story reminded me of a high school teammate of mine who went by the name of Thomas Gilman. And Thomas would get pissed if he had a first round bye. Like, he would tell our coach to go to seating meetings and I don't want the bye. Match me up with somebody.
So Cody went to a seed meeting earlier in the year after I wrestled the Northern duel. I had a big black eye. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was pretty gross. And I go to wrestle at the DAC Open, right? And I see I have a first round match. And I'm like, nice. Look at the close it on my phone, go to open up Flow again to look at my bracket to see what bout number it was, because I assumed it was number 1 because it was 125, most of the time. First guy's out there. And I go to look at it and I don't have a first round match anymore. I'm like, they must have drew it or something, whatever. And Cody comes in and I'm like, "Hey, did they redraw it?" He's like, "Yeah, you had a match first round, but I didn't want the kid hitting your eye." So he ended up giving the match he switched me and Brandon Meredith's place in the bracket. In the bracket. And he's like, "I didn't want the kid to hit your eye." He's like, "I figured at least the less matches for you today, the better." And I was pretty upset with him. I still give him crap for it.
Didn't run that one by you, huh?
Yeah, I was like, "What the heck, dude?" And he's like, "I knew you were going to tell me no, so I just did it."
Well, let's see. Well, you got a bunch of matches coming up. We're gonna be wrestling Oklahoma, right? It's coming up.
Yep.
Right.
Oklahoma Friday, Oklahoma State Saturday, right?
Yeah, and then you go to Oklahoma. That's gonna be quite the challenge for you.
Yeah. Obviously, D1 wrestling, you're always wrestling good competitors, but It's 2-day, back-to-back days are I don't want to say tough, but they're a little wearing on you, making weight 2 days in a row. Thankfully, we get a pound for Oklahoma State because we wrestle back-to-back days, but definitely adds a little adversity in the mix.
I was just assuming they had a top guy there, but I don't see on the list where they.
Spratley, Oklahoma State.
Oh yeah, Spratley. There it is. I thought so.
Yeah, he's coming off big upset of, well, not big, but decent upset of certain.
Yeah,
Sunday
he's
afternoon.
Which means you just need to go beat him, right?
You already have.
That's ideal. Yeah.
I know you have already, but beating a good guy twice is definitely more challenging than once, right? And
yeah,
we can agree on that.
Not like I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve either. So.
yeah, he's already seen your style, so he knows what to expect to a certain extent. And if he watches this, he's just going to shoot on your legs, right? First 2 minutes.
Whistle.
That's all anyone needs to do, apparently.
Oh, come on. Now, that's some guys' strategy, though, because, like, Gross used to wrestle that way. We might have a 165-pounder that, like, absolutely does not take the first shot, I don't think.
Does he know how to shoot?
Cook?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, Cook.
I'm teasing. He
Cook
had a
knows how to shoot.
to win his match Friday.
Yeah, he did. I was going to say, he just had one last week, didn't
he? Yeah. He knows how to shoot. We all give him a little bit of crap for that too. Every now and then he'll pull a double leg out of nowhere that no one expected. So we're all like, where'd that come from? He's like, it was just there. We're like, you need to do that more. I don't know. It took a lot of energy.
Not as much style points as a cement mixer.
Yeah, definitely not. That. Yeah, if every match was as quick as his, we'd only have what, a 20-minute duel,
maybe at most.
Yeah, like Shane Rents. He said he blinks and missed his match.
Yeah,
on Sunday.
His Saturday match was quick. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, he did. He just pushed that guy forward a couple of times, and
I had to laugh. The social media team posted because you can post.
Yeah.
I mean, if you buy premium, you can post movies on Twitter now, but you can only post like 15-second clips. If you don't, it's like we present to you Tanner Cook's match in its entirety.
Yeah, I saw that. Just like, yeah, he always walks off, and I'm like, man, I wish I had short matches like that. He's like, you could, and I was like, I don't think I could, man.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot. Have you been watching? Maybe we shouldn't even bring this up. But have you been watching the controversy? Are you on Twitter much? Wrestling Twitter?
Bit. Not too terribly much.
You've been seeing the takedown, no takedowns that have been coming across?
Chad's trying to get me in trouble because I'm an official. I don't know if you knew that, Tanner.
Come on, man. Let's have a little bit of maybe he's seen them. Maybe he has some opinions. I don't know.
Yeah. So the reaction time's definitely a big factor this year in college wrestling, and the thing that I don't like about it is there's no set amount of time.
Right.
Like they're like, it's not like
it turns it into a judgment call.
Yeah. It's not, we'll give them, a second. It's reaction time. So it, like you said, it turns into a little bit of a judgment, which isn't my favorite thing for the sport, but I mean, you also can't just have the little hand touch takedown. So
right.
It's a double-edged sword, and you got to pick the lesser of two evils, in my opinion.
I've found myself flip-flopping on the very same clip, just going, oh, that's definitely a takedown, and watch it. I'm like, oh no, maybe he slipped out of there a little quicker than I thought. It's like, well,
you're not gonna believe it, but as an official, like, hand touch takedown, don't make me make a judgment call. I'm gonna make one corner or the other mad, make it as black and white as possible.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think it's, like you said, I think it's a double-edged sword. We need rules as we try to grow the sport, grow new fans that are easy to understand. But there's also a certain level of your hand brushes the mat and go behind position. Should you really be
Yeah.
awarding 3 off that? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't make everyone happy, so
And
there's always going to be a.
I was gonna say it's probably amplified by the fact that a takedown's more costly this year, right? Yeah.
3 points.
So you got to be a fan of that, right?
So at first I didn't think I was going to be because as we talked about earlier, I'm getting taken down the first period every match, and it was a joke when we just found out that all these rule changes, because if you guys watched me wrestle last year, it was I normally got taken down in the first period, I got a reversal, and then I rode the kid out. It was pretty uniform through matches, right?
Modus
operandi. Cody goes, "What are you gonna do now, TJ? If you take someone down and ride him out, you're tied. Or if you get taken down, get a reversal and ride him out, you're tied." I was like, "Yeah,
one.
Guess I got to figure something else out, don't I?" So it's been, like I said, a joke, but I definitely I've grown to like it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, me too. It's still weird shouting 3 though.
Yeah,
I especially in high schools too,
I still
right?
yell 2. I'm still over there saying 2. So, I mean, I've said 2 for what, 20 years of my life now.
Right.
I can't change it now.
Right. It's so strange. Alex,
I maybe less on the wrestling side. Just like to have you guys here get your more personality out. And when we were doing our bio on you, this is something that interests me because something I wish I would have studied, but I decided to get an engineering degree instead. Talk about wildlife and fishery science. What made you want to take that up, and how's that all going for you?
I mean, what made me want to take it up is I love being outside. It's if I'm not on the wrestling mat or in a classroom, I'm probably out trying to hunt or catch something. So whatever I can find, do, I just want to be outside. And I mean, obviously with this winter, it's been super hard for me to even think about wrestling when it's so nice out. It's like you gotta
go out and take your Benelli out and exercise it a bit.
Yeah. So
Mossberg, whatever.
So that's kind of what made me go into it, is just for my love of the outdoors and wildlife in general, and how much I love to hunt and fish. And then got to college, and it was different than what I thought it was. I was expecting it was all going to be wildlife based, right? And my first semester of college, I had biology and chemistry, and I was like, I don't know if this is manageable. Like, I'm out here just trying to get bees, just trying to keep my head above the water, and it ended up. Now I'm starting to get into more of the wildlife based classes, and it's been awesome.
Is there? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to answer Ron's question. Fishing's been hit or miss, Ron. The fact people are dropping trucks through the ice about twice a week is not helping anything.
Yeah.
It was really cold and it was good. We had good ice for a while, but now you don't want to drive out on it.
I've only been ice fishing once this year, so.
Better than me. I might not even get to go out this year at the rate we're going.
Yeah.
Busy with work and just had a kid, and I haven't even been out yet this year. Which normally I've been out a dozen times by now. But
normally we have ice by Christmas,
Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. And we didn't. I mean, I was outside working on a building the 23rd of December in the rain, enclosing a building that I wouldn't have got done most years. But is there a game that you like to hunt the most? Like, I mean, I was kind of joking about having a Benelli. I don't know. Maybe you have a favorite gun or
being from Ohio, we didn't. I was from real rural Ohio, and wasn't really close to any water per se. So I didn't really get into duck hunting until I moved out here.
Sure.
So I would say the thing I absolutely love to hunt the most is deer. I love to hunt deer with my bow. It's probably my number one thing to do. And then I got out here and got introduced to spotting and stalking mule deer, and that just consumed me.
Muleys.
Yeah.
You go out west
for that?
Yeah. Me and my roommate Caleb Gross, we get like 1 or 2 weekends, right? We get 5 days that we can go out west, and 2 of those we end up spending driving just in
there. And back, yeah.
We always end up making a deal with Damien, like, listen, we'll do 2 extra workouts. We're gonna get all this stuff done, right? And he's like, fine, you guys can go out west for 3 days. So we pack up and go out there and try to hunt as much as we can. It's normally only 2 days, and we drive all the way back, run into practice, and someone ends up grabbing us, and they're like, you stink. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't showered in 3 days. You know, I was sleeping out of the bed of my truck, and they're like, and you drove straight to practice. I was like,
that's an advantage when you're hunting.
I had to hunt the last morning, and they're like, you're terrible, dude. I'm like,
So you like Hacken County, or where are you normally pulling tags?
We with archery, you can get the over the counter West River or statewide. Right.
Yeah, I guess.
So we've been all the way close to like the Badlands, and then we drove up to Hardin County a couple times.
That's way out there.
Yeah, that one. We would prefer to stick more like right across the river, because then we get more time to hunt and less time driving. Hardin County's fun though, just because it's a new challenge. You know.
Do you see any goats out there? I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of those out there.
Yeah, so I keep wanting to get an antelope tag with my bow.
Yeah.
But it always opens the first week at school moving week into school. And I just don't think it's the best decision for me to miss the first couple of days of school. Class. Yeah, to go out and try to shoot an antelope with my bow. So I haven't done that one yet.
Antelope with a bow, that's gonna be a challenge. I mean, you're gonna have to really be in the right spot, because them things move, man.
Yeah. So that's
so as far as school is gone, you've really enjoyed your time at SDSU and the classes and so forth, the campus. Love Brookings. How's it compare to where you're from?
Brookings is very similar to the big town that's close to me. You know, it's, I don't want to say the only grocery store, but the big grocery store is Walmart, and then instead of Hy-Vee, we have Kroger's is what it's called. Yep.
Yeah, Kroger.
And so
we're sprint car fans. We know Kroger.
Yep. Very similar to the town that I grew up in. And I mean, you look at the countryside, and the county that I'm from is called Champaign County, and that's flat is what Champaign means. So it's the same thing. It's flat with cornfield.
So you're right at home here.
Yep. A little bit more trees is what I'm used to.
Colder, right? It's got to be colder and windier.
Yeah, this is definitely colder and windier, but the trees in Ohio help that. So
yeah, we don't have a lot of trees. That's true. No.
So but it definitely is home feeling. And then, like I said, I've been out here for 5 years now. I moved out here with my brother. He was already out here, so it was a very easy transition for me. And then, you know, I got a great job over the summer, you know, lets me wrestle as much as I can. So it's awesome.
And what job was that?
I work at Dakota Wholesale Bait.
Oh,
Kingfisher Fish Farms. So
nice.
I know those guys through friends of friends. Don't know them personally, but I know who they are.
So they're awesome over there. They like I said, they let me wrestle as much as I want over the summer. They actually get mad at me if I'm not wrestling enough, so it's a pretty good gig.
So just a couple more here, and we'll let you go. We do appreciate your time. Tell us maybe a little bit about your interactions, and I mean, sell us on the staff, the facilities. Talk about, you know, the upgrades and how much better it is now compared to before, and just tell us a little bit about how awesome the staff is. I mean, we know they're awesome, but we'd like to We'd like to hear your take on it.
I'm gonna start with Damian, and that's gonna lead into the facility, right?
Sure.
Because he, that guy. So when I first met him, he was big when he first got here, right? He's a big boy, and he about my second or third year in, and we didn't see it as much because we're next to him every day, right? But everyone's coming up to him and they're grabbing him and they're like, "You guys out there at South Dakota putting him on a diet?" And I'm like, not really. Like, yeah, he's gotten smaller, but like not that bad, you know. And it didn't really like dawn on me. He was so stressed out about getting this facility put up for us that he was just losing weight.
Away.
Yeah, he was dropping tons of weight, and so that kind of put something in the back of my head, like this guy's willing to fight for everything that we're willing to fight for. So that was awesome. And then you'd walk into his office and he'd just be on the phone, and this was when his office was at Frost, so he had to walk up through a maze, got up there and he'd give you the hold on. You're like, well, I can't really hold on, like don't got anywhere else to go. So you'd walk over to Cody's and Cam's office, and they'd be in there just studying wrestling. And you're like, wow, these, they really just care about wrestling. And you'd walk back over to Dehan, he's like, I just got another donor for the facility. Like, cool, And Damian spent so much time just on getting this facility because of, and he says he says it would make us more of a team. And I didn't really it doesn't matter that much. It's just a facility, right?
Didn't
like
get it.
A team comes from a team. You're a team, and now that we're in the facility and I see it, just today, I was walking up here and we still had guys on the mat wrestling. We had 10, 15 guys that just sit in the facility almost all day. Like it's amazing just how much more you bond just by having a central location that's not the Frost wrestling room that was who knows how old, right?
Stinky.
Yeah, in a basement. Like it didn't have heat in the summer or in the winter. Like I would literally walk into practice and I'd have like 2 sweatshirts on just to lose like 3 pounds at practice, right? It was miserable. And you got out of there as fast as you could too, because it was like no one wants to spend time in here. And now that we have such a nice facility, it's just everyone's just more willing to spend time and stay on the mat, and really socialize. You get to know people a lot better. And then so that was just on Damian. And Cam is very, I said it earlier, he's a sarcastic individual, right? And there's times that I don't know if Cam's
serious
or
not.
So I just was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna laugh at that and walk away. So like it's not like I don't actually have to do that. And it's awesome. Cam did the majority of the recruiting for me. He called me a lot. I mean, it's not really like he can do a home visit when I'm 1,000 miles away.
Right.
So he was on the phone with me a lot, and that was their first year, was the year that they were trying to recruit me, right? And he would call me and just talk. It wouldn't even be about wrestling. He'd just call me to talk, and that was super helpful in the recruiting process, having the guy that you felt that you were there to, he was there to be your friend more or less than to be a coach to you. And then, so that was awesome coming from him. And then, me and Cody over the last couple of years have just really been working on, I've been doing most of my individuals with Cody and really just trying trying to get better with him, and he pushes me as much as I can push myself. So that's been awesome, and he's been very positive in the whole process. Which was a change for me because I more or less feel like I do better after I, have a big loss or something. I has something in me that I just want to go turn around and wrestle better, right? And Cody was more of a like slow down, pick yourself up. You're fine. You're doing fine. Just keep wrestling how you know how to wrestle. And that was one of the major jumps that we talked about earlier. Gave me confidence that I was starting to use my head more when I wrestled. Being smarter as I wrestled. That was a big help. And then, I mean, Brady's brought a ton of stuff to SDSU, and nutrition being one of those. He's big on nutrition, and I'd never, I've always been a small guy and cut weight, so it was like, it weighs what it weighs, and I'm just going to eat what it, don't eat junk, but be somewhat diligent on what you're eating. And Brady's really brought in like you don't have to feel bad when you're cutting weight. You don't have to starve yourself. You just eat cleaner, keep your portions smaller. So that's been very helpful as well.
Cool.
I think Mr. Myros has one more serious one to follow up, but bit remiss if didn't ask this one from Shane Wrights, considering where Mr. Schoenrock may or may not be tonight. Something South Dakota and Ohio have in common, although they don't really have water trucks in Ohio.
I'm not sure if I've ever been to a race in general.
So really?
Yeah.
But you at least know what a sprint car is when somebody talks about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I loved hunting and fishing too much that those ended up consuming me.
You could find your way to Rossburg if you needed to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How far is that? Just ballpark.
I don't know. Probably 2 hours.
Well, yeah, I think you touched on everything. It was a great interview, man. We're big fans of you. Coach always talks about you being the spark plug, and I guess now we know you just need to go start earlier, and we can just get on your case if we're sitting Matt's side. And
absolutely.
Hey, come on, hurry up, let's go. Time's running out. But other than that, I just want to thank you for coming on and being such a great guest. You got any parting words, Alex?
No.
I had a couple things. Wednesday noon, coaches luncheon.
That's right.
Familiar with football team does Jimmy Rogers radio shows. This kind of Coach Hahn's version. He
Are we having it this week? I think we're leaving Wednesday.
Are you guys leaving early? Okay, so no Cubby's luncheon.
Ignore me. Not. No Cubby's luncheon this week.
Hey, we can still promote. Cubby's is kind of a sponsor. They're a sponsor.
Show. Yeah, we can still promote. Still
Cubby's
go to Cubby's.
Awesome, so
Coach Hahn won't be there.
You just got to stay away if you're trying to cut, right?
Yeah.
Because their food's too good. All right.
JWC silent auction and raffle. That's coming up at the 9 on February 24th. As we've talked about on the show before, that allows all our guys our freestyle opportunities. Make sure people are getting their tickets. Get indoor. It's a fun event. It's going to be a good time. And then 2 away events this weekend. Big duels. Big 12 races heating up. Jacks control their history for Big 12 title. Love to see the guys go get it. So 2 big ones towards that. Friday night, 7 p.m. Oklahoma in Norman, and then 6 p.m. Saturday night in Stillwater, both on ESPN Plus. So a lot of you I know football fans have that. And then next home duel in advance, get planning ahead. February 18th against Missouri. That's going to be huge. There's going to be tons of ranked matchups. It's going to be a party.
They happen.
Never been to a wrestling duel. I don't know how you stumbled upon this show, but welcome, and definitely need to make sure you make it out. And if you're a wrestling fan, you absolutely need to be at that duel.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Can't wait for you to go out and prove yourself. That Cliff Keynes wasn't a fluke, and go out this Saturday, man. And we'll be cheering for you.
Excited for it.
Well, with that, I think we normally end our shows with a get jacked on 3. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Get jacked.